Hi, and welcome to today's video where we are going to be looking at algebra, specifically graphing algebra. And before we get into that, I just want to invite you to just like the video and subscribe to the channel before we start with anything. So let's get into this. What we have here is we have an algebraic expression, and we're going to break this down before we even get to this part, because you might look at that and say, whoa, there's a couple of weird things happening there. You can see that we have a variable that is x and a variable that is y, and I don't want you to be alarmed by that. I don't want you to be afraid of that. Essentially, all it means is that as this number changes, this number is going to change as a result of that. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, where do we get these numbers from? Well, these numbers can be anything. They are a variable. You could make them up. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create a table of values chart. And what I want you to understand is that t is also going to be your x coordinate. And v, your value, is going to be your y coordinate. So I've got a Cartesian plane here that gives me 12 numbers on the y-axis, 12 numbers on the x-axis. So I'm going to use some smaller numbers here so it makes a little bit of sense, and you'll see how this works. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to find out what the value is going to be for a certain number of terms. And this is not something that we've already done something like this before, and if you forget about it, let's throw a card in the top right-hand corner to bring you back to pattern rules. This right here is a pattern rule. It means that as we're adjusting the term, we're going to grow by a pattern of 2 every time and add 1 to it as well. It's going to give us a value. It'll make a little bit of sense once we get going. So let's throw some random term numbers down. And I can make up these term numbers. I like to use smaller numbers so I know that they fit somewhere on my Cartesian plane. So let's start with a negative number. Let's go -2. Let's go term 0. And let's go term 2 and 3. Just random. Now what I want to do is this. I want to take this x and I want to plug it into here. And as I plug that number in, it's going to change the value of y. So I got a little bit of math to do right now. So let's go down here. Let's go 2x plus 1 equals y. I'm going to change x to -2. So that's going to be 2 times -2 plus 1 equals y. Now you'll notice that the y, there's nothing I can do to it. So I'm just going to keep moving the y down, moving the y down, and moving the y down, and eventually I'm going to get y is going to equal one number based on the math that I'm doing right here. So continuing on, let's do BEDMAS first. 2 times -2 is -4 plus 1 equals y. -4 plus 1 is -3 equals y. So I know the value of -2 is going to be -3. This -3 is the value. It's going to be my y coordinate. Now you might think to yourself, okay, so now I've got these two numbers. Let's get rid of that little box there. Now I've got these two numbers. Well, these two numbers become an ordered pair. And an ordered pair, if you're not familiar with that, it's a coordinate. X first, comma y. So in this case, what I would do is I would start at 0. I'm going to move -2 on the x-axis because it's first, -1, -2. And then I'm going to go down 3. Down 1, down 2, down 3. And I'm going to place my dot. -2, -3. That's what that ordered pair told me. Let's go over to here and let's do 0, just in case I don't want to. Actually, I could probably do it down here because I don't think I'm going to use down here. So let's go 2x plus 1 equals y. Now we're going to plug the 0 in to x, and that's going to change y, which is why the variable of y is important. It tells us that y is going to change based on what I use for x. I'll show you in a sec. So let's go 2 times 0 plus 1 equals y. BEDMAS first. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1 equals y. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 is y. So this now is going to have a value of 1. And that is going to be my next ordered pair. 0 on the x-axis, which means I'm not moving left or right, and up 1. So here I am, 0 and 1. So my dot will move there. Now you can see something. You can see that these numbers are going to be almost in a straight line right now. So let's check and see what happens if we plug in a 2 here. We'll go here. We'll go 2x plus 1 equals y. Now I'm going to take x and make it a 2. Because I've done this one, and my next x value was 2. So let's plug the 2 into x. 2 times 2 plus 1 equals y. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 equals y. 5 is the same as y. So if I plug the 2 into x, the value is going to be 5. 2 comma 5. So we can do that. Let's go over 2 on the x first, because x is always first, remembering that ordered pairs are always x comma y, over 2 and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we end up right about there. And now what you can see here is we have, if we grabbed a ruler, we've got a straight line. Our pattern is growing. Whoops. Our pattern is growing on a straight line. That was not very straight at all. There we go, that should be about it. Obviously, your graph is going to look a little bit more precise when it's not hand-drawn, but the line will go through each of the dots and eventually connect like that. Now, what you'll want to do is this. You want to fully extend this line, because this tells us something. What I can do now is I can take and find out what the value is of something else on this graph. That looks a little bit better. I can, just by going over and looking. So if I went and wanted to know what the negative third value is going to be, I'm going to go over 1, over 2, over 3, down 1, down 2, down 3, down 4, down 5, until eventually I meet the line. And my value is going to be wherever it matches to the line. So I, just by quick glance at this, if I look at negative 3, it matches up with negative 6. My negative third term, my negative third x, negative 3, is going to have a value of negative 6. So this is graphing algebra. I apologize for the fact that might not be as precise as your stuff is going to be, but the concept is exactly the same. So we'll recap what we just did. What you want to do is you want to create yourself a table of values chart. The table of values chart, then randomly pick whatever terms you want to use. Again, it would be my recommendation to use terms that are significantly smaller. Maybe if you're using a computer-generated software, maybe go somewhere between -4 and +4. That gives you 8 numbers to work with. Try and put them in order, so you have your smallest to largest first, so your ordered pairs are easy to see. And then all you have to do is start substituting x for the numbers that you've chosen, your 4 random numbers, anywhere between -4 and 4, and then solve them like we did here. So we plugged a 2, which was here, into x, and then we just did the math. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 plus 1 was 5, and our value, our y-axis coordinate, is going to be whatever this showed up to be. If you get a line that is not straight, go back and check your math. We're doing linear algebra, so there is no curve to any of this, no parabola or no parabola, however you want to pronounce it to this. It's just a straight line. Graphing algebra, that's essentially what we just did. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, or something didn't quite make sense to you, please drop a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. We'll catch you next time. See ya.